Let's start about 60 seconds-ish. Eesh. Once they're uploaded, when you go through each of them, at the very top, there's an AI search button, and it will go out and search different platforms to see if it's been relisted. Obviously not 100% accurate or foolproof, but helpful nonetheless. All right, we're going to get rolling. I have a lot to share. And so we're going to get right into it. This is a text message I got from Janita last night, and I wanted to share. I'm not going to read all of it, but it's good information, and there are a number of lessons in it, of which I think are helpful, especially for those who are following the 3-step blueprint that I've been talking about over and over and over. For those of you who are participated in our 3-day deal sprint, those of you using Lead Deck, etc. She texted, I don't know, it was yesterday afternoon, late afternoon. Help! The seller on an expired listing responded to my text this morning saying, text me your offer. Easy enough, I thought, until I searched on Fast Cash Offers, which is the institutional cash buyer platform that we have. And I'm looking at a situation I've never seen before. There is a $404,000 gap between the offers and the previous list price. How would you handle that scenario? So I'm out running kids around, playing taxi. I'm waiting for one. I'm reading it. I'm just making sure that I have the scenario right. So I said back, so you're telling me it was listed for example, $1 million, and the institutional offers came back at 600. She said, correct. And then let me know that it sits on 6 acres, which is more than any other properties or home sites in the area. And it was listed twice before, each time for approximately 9 months. So we've got a stale listing. And quite honestly, we have most likely at least somewhat of an unrealistic seller. Okay. So I asked a clarifying question. And I think this is valuable regardless of if you're using institutional offers or any of that. But when you're talking with sellers that have a unique property like this, the thing I asked her was, is it possible that this is 2 different parcels, that the home sits on, for example, 2 acres, and then there's an additional parcel of 4 acres, and they were listing it together, but the institutional offers are only taking into account the 2 acres? And she said, no. Now, it still could happen in some cases. So the lesson is, explore and be curious when there are things that don't seem to match up or make sense. She then gave me some additional information that she found, the Zestimates, etc. The last list price was $759, and the best cash offer is $379. Which a lot of well, maybe not a lot. There are, generally speaking, multiple offer options that are at or pretty close to market value. But obviously, in this case, it's not. So here was my recommendation to her, and a couple more things that she exchanged with me. Actually, let me share that first and then my recommendation. So she further went on to do some research and found that there is an active listing similar to the property, the subject property, that's listed for $1 million. It's active. Similar in that, similar age, similar square footage, similar acreage. The best comp she found sold for $500, and that was 2 or 3 acres instead of the 6, I think anyway. There's a lot of text on the screen here. But let's just call it 2 or, oh, Janita, 2 or 3 acres? Yeah. Okay. So she's shaking her head yes. So here was my recommendation to her. Get with Danielle of Zoom Casa. Specifically email her or even schedule a time to chat with her. Give her the active comp and the sold comp and ask her, explain the situation and scenario, and be as transparent as, don't hide anything. This is a situation or scenario. It's an expired listing. They responded to some of my marketing. They're open to an offer. And for whatever reason, the best offer seems to be a disconnect. And I would even say, I don't think it's worth $759, but it's also not worth $379. So have her do a little bit more due diligence and see what she comes back with. In the meantime, you have a seller who has said, yes, I'm open to an offer. So I recommended that she also use that as an opportunity to include the property in her deal of the week email, which I have a new wrinkle on mine that I'll share later this morning, a little wrinkle I added in my PS that I'm interested to see how that performs. Include that in your deal of the week and use the process that I shared last Wednesday, which you can all find at leaddeck.ai/sprints. leaddeck.ai/sprints. It's the February 4th replay. Use that process to see if you can find a buyer in the meantime while you're getting an improved offer from, for example, Zoom Casa. You might also reach out to Cheryl with Quick Buy. You could do the same with Zoodealio. I've just found Danielle, generally speaking, is the fastest, most responsive, and is the quickest to get me improved offers in these scenarios. I haven't had this exact scenario, but I've had, similar things to that. So given all of that, Janita, do you have any follow-up questions? And I see Doreen has her hand up as well. This was how I advised her, but there's probably other thoughts or ideas as well. I don't hear you. Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
The only thing I had the volume down. It was my fault. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the only thing I was concerned about, right, because I know we said previously, you want to give yourself that time to come back to the seller with possible options. So I was concerned about how to respond to him just because of, the gap.
Okay, so I think it was in here, but transparency is key. I would tell him exactly what's going on. Literally exactly. I was reaching out on behalf of institutional home buyers that we represent here in the market. For whatever reason, their offers are way off on your particular property. I can only assume in part it's because of the amount of acres with the property. I am working to get the best preliminary numbers and offers for you that I possibly can. And I will get back to you. Worst case scenario, Monday, hopefully before the end of the week. And then in the meantime, if you get any other interest from the other recommendations I had, you could always go back as well. Documenting and demonstrating what you're doing on their behalf along the way will increase the likelihood that when he's ready to relist, and the reality is that is 99.5% in this example is going to be the only way he's going to get it sold, or she. You're playing the long game. You're planting seeds. You're demonstrating value that maybe their previous agent or agents had not done.
Okay. Makes sense.
Doreen.
Josh, I just wanted to add a little bit about value on land. I know that you cover this very well, but I would, to substantiate the value that the seller is asking for, I would ask him if he has any knowledge of any zoning changes or any added value that to his property. If he doesn't know, I would call the last listing agent and say you have a buyer for the you may have a buyer for the property, but you'd like to substantiate the price that she listed it at, and see what information she'll give. And if all that fails, then call the zoning board and ask, are there any future, votes on the table that are coming up in the next couple of months? Because if he has, I kind of listen to the sellers, because sometimes they have information that they're not conveying to us, and it just takes deeper conversations.
Yeah.
So, and land is, like, when I approach land, I'm approaching it from the standpoint of who is going to be the end buyer of this, and how am I going to market that to that end buyer. And I would agree that the institutional buyer is probably not going to be your best buyer, because there's all kinds of, with land, especially with already a home on it, there's all kinds of value add that you can find out about it in that area.
Yeah. And
get the most for it. Can they have cattle on the acreage that they're not using? Can they have horses? Can they turn part of it into an equestrian? I had a client that bought 18 acres, put a family compound on it, and I worked with her for months with the zoning board on this, and turned it into a full-time equestrian business. And these are long-term clients of mine. They bought and sold their properties with me and their kids. But it was so much fun to see what a raw piece of land could turn into. And it's now their retirement. And this was just 2 years ago. So it's not, it's not some long, far away thing. And I would just really explore trying to figure out the value first, then figure out who your end buyer is and market it to that.
TLDR, explore the highest and best use, because if I would assume the previous listing agents had, but if they haven't, that alone is another way you're demonstrating I'm a proactive problem solver. I'm a creative problem solver. It may be as simple as, could you subdivide 3 acres off and build and create another, and that may be a way to create the value that property owner has in their mind, which is why it hasn't sold yet. I don't know that I would go too wild with that yet. Although I would, what Doreen said about exploring, trying to get a better understanding of how they arrived at that price and where are they getting the value, because there may be something along those lines. Maybe they have already explored a subdivision, or the fact that it can be used for a horse property or whatever.
$1 million. I mean, to the right buyer. So it's a very good transaction if you can get it there.
And also, this relates to something I had shared, I think earlier in the week, but I've shared it a few times, is when you're talking with someone like this, when you communicate that you've put in thought and time and energy to figure out who the ideal buyer is and where they may be, and how you're going to get their property in front of them, regardless of this particular example. But I have, I shared an example of an expired that I have that, oh boy, it's coming soon tomorrow. I got that listing because, at least in part, when I met with them, I had a plan for who the buyer is and how we were going to find them. And the person or the team that they were interviewing, in addition to me, had zero plan other than, we're at a big brokerage. That was literally their answer for that question. Campbell.
You were saying about going back to the deal sprint, and you gave the link leaddeck.ai/sprint. That is not working. Sprints, plural.
Yep.
Okay, I'll try that then. Thank you.
Also, lead deck here. I'll put this in the chat. Sean did make this page, which has, if you go to leaddeck.ai/cal for calendar, CAL, that'll have the replays of these sessions and the link to join live in the Zoom room, the replay of the sprints, and the link to join. It's got it's got all the interactive stuff that we've been doing. It has the links to register for the Zooms and the replays and that URL will evolve. But for now, that has, the links to make it a little easier there as well. Okay. I'm gonna bounce around a little bit. The next one that I had is somewhat related to Jonita's, but I've been leaving Stuart hanging unintentionally because his email got lost in my inbox. So I wanted to address something that Stuart sent me, which is a letter. This is a follow-up conversation to Monday's cafe. This is a letter that Stuart had sent me that he is going to use to send out to the target that we were talking about. The seller target was absentee out of state that also were either tax delinquent or voluntary lien, but we were stacking filters to get a more targeted list or audience. And I think this I think this letter is wonderful. The question we were discussing from that session is, how much is too much as far as asking questions? I think I started last week really emphasizing the fact that when you're talking with absentee owners, go for 3 no's. In other words, if we're calling potential sellers, absentee owner sellers, are you interested in selling this property? No. Do you have any others that you may want to sell? No. Are you looking to buy any right now? And for most of them, it's hard to get 3 no's. Same thing on the buy side. Hey, it looks like you're a pretty active investor here in whatever area. I've got a deal that might be of interest. Are you looking to buy right now? No. Okay, you're not interested in this one, or you're just not interested at all? And they say, no, I'm just not buying right now. Okay, do you have any properties in your portfolio you wish you didn't have? In conversation, you absolutely should do that 100%. If we try to communicate that in a letter, in a communication, it could be a letter, it could be a text, it could be an email. Too many things will confuse the mind, and then we'll suppress response. So we've put 2, or Stuart has put 2 in here. I still am just asking the one question, but we got to test. You never know. So is there any chance you consider selling your property to a private client of ours? If so, please call or text me or email. If not, do you have any other properties in your portfolio you wish you didn't own? And I don't know that that's the best phrasing for it. That's Sean phrasing. And I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but there's other ways to communicate the same idea. Do you have any other properties in your portfolio you would consider selling right now or selling in the next 30 to 90 days? And then he's got his sort of signature. And if you're not interested right now, please hang on to this letter in case anything changes in the future. I think that's when we're sending letters or postcards or note cards, including that increases the likelihood that they will. And you will get business down the line from these artifacts that people hang on to and they put on their refrigerator, or they put it on their, in their junk drawer or whatever. Some people will actually file it away and come back to it. I have gotten deals from direct mail years after I sent it. Years, 3, 4, 5 years after I sent it. So good on you, Stuart. I have an example as well that I never closed the loop on. We were talking about direct mail late last week here in the Closers Cafe. And Doreen had shared a letter somewhat similar to this, presenting multiple potential solutions for folks in an effort to communicate that we're not just a one-size-fits-all real estate company. We can provide you with multiple solutions or potential solutions. And this is an adaptation of a letter that I have gotten business from. So I have evidence that this is and does work. I've tweaked it slightly, and I just sent it out to 190 some people who have scanned some other direct mail piece that I have sent. a postcard, a note card, might even have been a letter like Stewart's. Okay, my version of Stewart's that I send through thanks looks like this. Simple, straightforward, very similar to Stewart's, other than I don't have the, do you have any others? And I don't have my email in here. I should put my email because I have had people email me. I have it in other direct mail. So I have evidence that that does work. I don't know why I don't have it in there. I'll probably edit both of those. I do have it in this one. I think
people think it's a little bit less threatening.
Totally.
To reach out to somebody you
100%.
don't
No,
know.
I think it absolutely makes sense. 100%. So I've got it in this letter, but I don't have it in that more direct one. I will share what happens with this one. It won't hit mailboxes until, middle of next week. But I've gotten business from this, not this exact letter, but this similar multiple, 3 alternative options communication where, and I've gotten people that have responded to all of the above, meaning I've gotten some people that call and say, what's this silent market thing? Or, what kind of cash offers are these? Are these just lowball offers? Or tell me more about 7-day stress-free home sale.
Josh, will you share that letter, please, sir?
Yeah. It's just a, let me think.
Great
here.
letter.
Here's what I'll do. I'm going to add, while I'm doing that, go ahead, Doreen. I'm going to add it to this swipe file. I'll drop the swipe file in the chat. This has other share codes and examples. Go ahead, Doreen.
Oh, so Josh, the reason, the letter I sent you, the reason why I just put the 4 bullet points, which kind of covers what you wrote out, was that's what I've gotten most response from. It causes them to ask a question because I end it with no problem too large, no question too small. So I leave it very friendly and open. And like, as I said, it was from the short sale market where people are very, fragile, and somebody said fragile and angry, but they're usually either one. So I sent you that because I wanted your input. But you think I should expand on it? I get a good result.
I don't think if you already have proof that it works, I wouldn't change it.
Well, this is what I'm getting. I would say for every 100, I get 6, 3 maybe with an attorney.
6% response rate to direct mail. I mean,
Yeah.
What are we talking about? That's incredible.
Well, that's the second letter though.
Okay.
So the first letter is that very simple one line, would you consider selling your property?
Yep.
But that's because I don't want to hit them with the fact that I know what's going on in their life.
Right. I don't like doing that either. Although some people, I wish I could get Shay to come to these sessions, but
well, I've done so many short sales and foreclosures. I kind of have a grip on the psychology of where people are coming from. They're really in a mess, and they really just want help. And I want to just always portray that I'm there to help and help find the solution that is best for their life, whether maybe it's keeping their home.
Yeah.
Not. And the other thing is, in this market, in my location that I'm seeing now, we had such an increase in price over those COVID years, like 300%, that people, we're leveling back to a normal market, but people still have equity and they don't realize they have equity. So a lot of them don't have to be foreclosed on, and they don't understand. Like somebody just recently said to me, I just saw the letter, sorry. I would change the dear hello homeowner, but I put it in there for a reason also, because a lot of times the homeowner is not in the property, and on the envelope, I write the homeowner's name or current occupant. So I'm trying to get to the homeowner.
So,
but anyway, like every word in that is for a reason.
Well, here's what I would, just some thoughts. Now, this is working for you. So I'm not suggesting you should change it. from my personal experience, you have cash in all caps.
Right.
I would, if it were me, I would say to a private client of mine,
Okay.
because, and again, this is working, so I'm not saying change it. I'm just offering perspective that people have or often people will have an immediate response to that. Well, oh, it's a cash buyer. It's going to be a low ball offer. And
but the client is somebody that may be going to auction in 3 weeks. So they know they can't list their property.
So
But
to
yes,
a
they
private
can
client
if I
of
get
mine,
them.
to a private client of mine, we can purchase it as is in cash in 10 to 14 days or less. So
Right.
I'm not saying don't communicate the fact that it can be quick, etc. But the all cash buyer, to me, if I were getting that mail, that is how I would experience that. So I think there's maybe some opportunity. I wanted to share this, A, because I forgot to share it when you shared it last week. B, it's a lot shorter than mine, and it's working for her. It's it's bullet based, punchy, which actually I have proof that works, because my deal of the week has been bullet points about different properties, just short and sweet, and that's getting a lot of response and conversations. So
I just want them to read it.
Yeah, this example may be too much, and I might have to pare it down. I also, since I have proof,
answers all the questions though.
I have the proof that this works, and I have the proof that Doreen's works. I need to use this in other ways too. So I should use this as an email. I should use it as a post on social, using the process that I outlined last week on the Wednesday session. Because when you're offering multiple solutions or potential solutions or options, it's easier to get at least someone to say yes or maybe to one of them versus,
or ask a question.
Exactly. Tell me more about, what is, like, I've had numerous people say, what's this silent market thing? And all this is I put them on my off-market deals list.
Off-market.
Yeah. It's just another card in my hand of sellers that I could potentially match up with a buyer when we have a fit, when we have a match. That's it.
And Josh, I have a file that's going to go out to probate, pre-foreclosure, and then just general, like expired, I want to get their listing. So I tweak that to that audience. And so I might not have cash buyer in my, in the general listing group. I might have it in the probate and the auction group, and not in the list pendants. And it's very simple. I mean, I just have 4 different letters that I pull up, tweak, merge to a mailing address, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a very complicated thing. And I track it by the first letter goes out, then 7, according to which list it's on. If it's on the auction list and it's close, if it's within 30 days, that's not going to take a second letter in 10 days. That's going to be 3 to 5 days. And after that, I'll actually if I'm really trying, if it's worth my time and I really think I can help someone, I'm going to drop something off at their mailbox or their door. I have a postcard. It's a general postcard that goes into like a plastic folder that goes on their door handle. So I'll hire somebody to drop off maybe 10 or 15 of them. And then at the same time that they're in that neighborhood, drop general door hangers, 10 doors to the right, 10 doors to the left for listings. So it's not just wasted time.
So I want to wrap this up and pivot to a couple other things that I wanted to share. Everything Doreen just outlined is an example reinforcing the fact that depending on the audience you're reaching out to, you will get exponential or outsized returns by going deeper versus going broad. If you're working or if you want to grow your business by helping probate or pre-probate or pre-foreclosure, those things, depending on the niche, actually, I would say any niche, going deeper is better than going wider. And in particular, some niches, you've got to go really deep or otherwise you get 3 feet from gold. So if you're just doing the spray and pray thing, and I'm gonna bomb every pre-foreclosure in my county with one letter, rest assured, you might get lucky. But if you want to stack the deck in your favor, it's got to be multiple touches over multiple weeks or even months, communicating different messages and creating different value propositions and creating curiosity and demonstrating differentiation, et cetera.
Just one last thing. So
Clear and concise, Doreen. Short and sweet, please.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So during the foreclosure market, in order for me to continue being a real estate agent when everybody else dropped out, I went to work 1 day a week with a foreclosure attorney in the area and became their liaison for short sale and foreclosure. And to just explain to their clients what the ramifications were of each to their personal problem, their credit, they're going forward, all that stuff. So I have a complete, kind of vendor team behind me because I still have the foreclosure defense and a short sale attorney. And I did my own short sales. Chase hired me to do their short sales. And I was a home steps foreclosure agent. So this is kind of that was my wheelhouse. And I do really well in a bad market because I do like to jump into all the knowledge. So I'm not going to say any more. I'll be quiet. It's your show.
Well, no. So here's the TLDR on what you just shared. That experience and that team gives you certainty, which relates back to a topic and a guest that we had on Tuesday for Lead Deck Founders Club members. And if you're going to pursue that niche, foreclosure or probate, et cetera, you want to be certain that you can help and support them regardless of what their needs are. Obviously, you want to help them with the real estate if that becomes an opportunity. And also, you want to be equipped and knowledgeable to help them whatever the situation or scenario is, because when you do that, number one, you're being of real value and service to them. And number two, you're increasing the likelihood that if or when they need help with the real estate, that you are going to be it won't even be a discussion or a competition or whatever.
It's a client for life.
Exactly.
Honestly.
Yep. Oh my goodness. Anyway. Okay, pivoting. Thank you, Doreen. Good stuff. I'm gonna pivot to a couple other things that I wanted to share, and then we're gonna wrap it up for the week. So Marco participated in the 3-day deal sprint that we hosted, the Lead Deck 3-day deal sprint, a couple of weeks ago. That has now been turned into an on-demand process or challenge that anyone signing up can immediately plug into. We are also doing a new sprint, 3-day sprint, starting February 23rd. It's an absentee owner listing sprint. But Marco participated in the first one, and the idea was taking my 3-step blueprint and imagining you're starting from scratch in a new market and you have nothing other than a laptop, your phone, Lead Deck, and maybe the MLS. Maybe. Because I say, I don't even know that you would need that. Marco emailed me last night, and I thought there was some good stuff in here, so I thought I'd share. I participated in the 3-day sprint. I made a total of 4 offers. Now, I need to clarify exactly what he means from this and where some of this comes from, which I just haven't gotten that from him yet. But there's other stuff in here that'll be useful and helpful. I made a total of 4 offers. 1 was an old motivated seller lead, so I think that was somebody already in his database. 3 are new motivated leads from a new mail out campaign I just launched. And so, there's clarity here, but I'm curious, how many pieces of mail? What was the target, et cetera? Nonetheless, One person responded and stated that if he gets the check for exactly the amount of the best Zudilio offer, we have a deal. I plan on meeting him tomorrow or Friday to look at the house and explain how the process works. Seems like I need to explain the two-step offer better. Any pointers on how to tackle and prepare for this meeting? If you have any recorded video, etc. So I said, this is fantastic. Can you confirm exactly? Again, I'm running around. It's later in the day. My brain's not working as well. And when I read it a few more times, then I sort of connected the dots. He said he expects to net 266 or 244 in one shot. In other words, single close, he wants this amount. I called him and made an appointment for Friday, planted to see that this offer was from an institutional buyer. So when I meet him, I'll explain in details the process. I would not explain in detail. I would give him enough information that you can start to connect the dots. But all we're trying to do in this first appointment, we're not trying to win the deal on the first appointment. In this scenario, it's a process, not an event. So on Friday, I recommended get photos and details so that you can submit for a final offer, which he could submit with Zudilio or Zoomkasa or QuickBuy. And then he said, so take pictures while I'm there and ask him to accept the offer. I said, no. We're not accepting anything right now. I am here to verify information about the property and get photos so we can get you a final offer and confirm we can get you the number you need for this to make sense for you. I also wanted to clarify, which if I had just taken the time to read it, a few times and process what it said, it was kind of clear. But this is an off-market property. So I made the same recommendation that I made to Janita. He should be using that in every way possible to get more cards in his hand. So right now he has a card in his hand that it's a maybe off-market seller. Right now it's just a maybe, right? So it's like, the color of the card is still undetermined, but it's like, it's a possibility. But he should absolutely use that to add more cards to his hand. Deal of the week email. Posting following the process I outlined on February 4th. And portfolio buyers with lead deck. So he said, thank you. It is indeed an off-market property. I'll reach out to investors in the area. So he has 24 hours at this point to come to that appointment with even more possible solutions for that seller and get the information he needs to see if truly one of the institutional buyers is going to get the end net result. And regardless of that, early next week, he's going to present those options and also, at least if it were me, present the idea or the thought that if I were you, what I would do is give me 10 to 14 days to see if I can get you an even better offer than this one. Because we can always default back to the one that we have in hand. And I literally will send them a Loom video and I'll even go like this. Let's put it in our back pocket. Keep it as a plan B and just give me 10 to 14 days. It literally costs you nothing. There's no cost or obligation. The only cost is 10 to 14 days. So if you can wait 2 weeks to see if we can get you more money, it could turn into thousands or even tens of thousands of additional money in your pocket. Now, I don't know the exact scenario or situation of the property, right? But just generally speaking, that's how I handle those examples and scenarios. Susan.
So I have a.
Oh, Dana, then Susan. Sorry.
Oh, I'm in this exact scenario with the lead that I have. So you're saying go to the property first and get photos and all the things before you ever present any sort of offer, right?
I would, and I do, because those preliminary offers are exactly that. They are preliminary offers. And there are cases when you collect the information and you present the photos, the details, and the comps, that the offers are better. And there are also examples when they're not as good. So I don't want to go and present a preliminary offer as though it is a concrete real offer, because it's not yet.
Okay. I have a meeting with one of them this afternoon, Zoom Casa or one of the others. I don't remember which one, but that's good information. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, you bet. And when you go and spend the time, invest the time, you get the photos, you're building rapport, relationship, et cetera. You're also, if ideally when you're there, you're trying to gather more information about the totality of the scenario and situation. That way, when you prescribe or you propose what to do next, it's specific to what their problem is. And it might be quick buy, it might be Zoom Casa, it might be whatever, or it might be 7-day stress-free home sale, or it might be some other scenario. Let's start here. I've got somebody that I think would be, a perfect solution given this scenario. He loves properties like this. He'll buy it cash as is, and you can move whenever you want. Whatever that is, the more you have, the more time you've invested with them and the more time they've invested with you, the more likely they are to do business with you. And just, I want to really emphasize this point. Those preliminary offers are not concrete. So I very emphatically say these are just preliminary numbers. For me to get you the best number and offer possible, I've got to pop by for a quick tour, 15, 20 minutes. I just need to take photos, et cetera. These private clients of ours, they mandate that we actually come take the photos and inspect the property. It's not my rule. It's their rule, And so you're gonna kill it, Dana. I love it.
Perfect. Yeah, I was planning to get with them to come and take pictures anyways, but that's good to know that I shouldn't be presenting any sort of offer while I'm there.
I wouldn't, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
You bet. Susan, and then Sean.
Yeah, so I have I actually contacted him as a buyer, but he became a seller. And I now have an off-market property that I have all of the information on, except for photos, because it's a duplex and both sides are rented. Mm-hmm. He has tenants there. Would I take that and get a deck of buyers, say in that zip code, and present that specific offer to them?
Present what specific offer to them?
Well, instead of just using the generic, I have a private client, blah, blah, blah. Would I say I have a duplex in this zip code?
When you're reaching out to the buyers?
Would you be interested? Pardon?
When you're reaching out to the buyers?
Right.
Oh, 1,000%. The more specific you can be, when reaching out to either the buyer targets or the seller targets. The more specific you are, the more response you will get. It doesn't mean the more positive responses you'll get, but you'll get more responses, and then you can pivot. Because remember, we're going for 3 no's. And even if it's an owner, occupant, buyer, or seller, it's, are you interested in this property? No. Are you just not interested in this, or you're not interested in any property? And oh, by the way, do you know anybody else in the market who might be blah, 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 blah. So there's always 3 no's that we can go for when we're in conversation with people about real estate. But if you're saying, I've got this off-market card in my hand, I want to use that as a reason to reach out to the buyers using lead deck, active landlord, or cash buyer, or multifamily, whichever make the most sense. It's a duplex. I would probably start with the multifamily investors first, because it'll be a smaller number, and then you can move to the active landlords after that. I would say specifically, it's a duplex in this zip code that is currently fully rented. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in, or know anyone who might be?
Okay, so would it make any sense to go back to some of these that I've already pulled the cards on, or that I have the deck that never responded to anything, to go
absolutely
back to them with something specific? That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. The guy that I ended yesterday's session with is like, that's the whole point of this. We don't want to be, eventually we want to get to, when we're doing step 2, we're reaching out to the warm cards that we have in our hand already. It's just that we have to put in the work to get to that point. The guy I talked to yesterday at the end of the Closers Cafe, his name is Brian. I talked to him way back in November. We had several exchanges, interactions. He's saved in my phone. I haven't talked to him in a while. I have a deal that, at least according to the buy box information that I have on him, makes sense for him, and he was interested. And also I asked, or somehow it came up that he has a 3 unit that he wants to sell as well. So absolutely.
Right.
Getting to that point is the goal, is to have so many cards in your hands that you're only going to the cold audience when you have a new piece of bait that doesn't, or a new piece of bait that you've either exhausted the cards in your hand, or you don't have any cards that fit. It's a different zip code. It's a different city. It's a different
buy box that fits this right now. I don't have anything. I think that will come the more we get.
What do you mean by that? You don't have anybody
don't
currently in your hand that you know with certainty that fits their buy box?
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. One other thing, and you didn't ask this, but I would absolutely do everything you can to do this. You said it's rented and there's no photos.
Yeah.
I would, without pushing too hard, I would really do everything you can to get in and get photos. And if they push back on that, something that I have told them is, look, just tell them I'm an insurance agent and I'm just doing an insurance audit. Tell them whatever you want. But if you actually want to sell this thing, we have to get photos. I'm not going to post them online. I'm not going to share them publicly, but I need this information so that when I have somebody who is ready, willing to make an offer, I can give them enough information. So we're not having to, so I'm not taking 5, 10, 20 investors through and interrupting your tenants every single time. We'll only do that after we have an agreement on paper or in principle on terms that make sense for everybody. And then we'll go to that point, because we don't want to, disturb what you've got going on there. Because a lot of them, that is a concern. A lot of them meaning landlord owners, especially if they're doing their own management, they don't want to spook their tenants and have them start to look for, because, bringing a buyer is, maybe, right? So they don't want to jeopardize their current cash flow and spook tenants unnecessarily. So, and also that gives you something, that gives you something to include. I don't remember if it was you or somebody else that said it was you yesterday that said the sell sheet kind of thing. Having the photos for the buyers that are at least curious. Also, like, A, you're doing the work on their behalf. B, you're helping them actually have something tangible to say yes or no to. And it's just, it's just a valuable thing that they can't get elsewhere. They can't see what the condition or what that information looks like.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sean.
To kind of go back to the pictures with the needed and our experience with institutional buyers. And I bring this up because I'm sure you're going to talk about this later, but it's something to keep in mind when at the beginning is they're always going to do an institutional buyer is going to do an inspection. So the more you can get specific in the pictures and video and show them the damage or show them the rot, the better number you're going to get up front, but also it reduces the chances that you're going to have a bigger gap when they do an inspection.
100%.
Because they're always going to be a bit, trust me, that's where they really try to make their money is after the inspection.
Totally.
And that also, you could use that with the seller, go, oh, hey, did you know about that rot? Oh, did you know about this? So when they do come back with a different number, they're already in their head is like, oh, my house is not perfect. I do have some stuff I got to account for that may make that amount different.
100%.
So when we do our pictures and videos for institutional buyers, I try to really find every dirty, bad thing about the home, because the more upfront, the better you're going to get on the back end.
This is simple and maybe kind of obvious, but when you're doing that, like Dana, when you go tomorrow, you want to have the lens or the perspective that I'm getting every possible detail so that if somebody in New York was thinking about buying this property, they could feel fairly confident in making an offer with that information. So it can't just be surface level photos. It's got to be, like Sean said, excruciating detail of everything. Multiple, usually when I do this, it's 60 to 100 pictures minimum. You know, if it's a really rough property, then maybe more, but not, I don't know. 100's pretty good. But, you know, the utility boxes, like Sean said, are there any cracks anywhere? Are there any, you know, is there a piece of a roof that's whatever? As much detail as possible that someone could virtually look at it and determine this is probably the amount of work that it's going to take. We're going to need to do this, and this. Because whether it's an institutional buyer or a portfolio buyer, that level of detail will be appreciated. And like Sean said, you set the stage with the seller as well. Meaning like you're not beating them up about the things that are wrong with their property. Most of them already have some idea. You're just alerting them to the fact that these are the concerns that I can, from my experience, are likely to come up on their behalf. So I would rather let's get it all out in the open right up front versus having to come back and revisit it, you know, weeks, you know, days or weeks from now with them. So good stuff. Okay. I'm not going to have time to text blast, because if I text blast, then my phone's going to be blowing up. And, but what I was going to do is go into KV Core, Bold Trail, whatever, filter out buyer leads that are subscribed to text, new, active, or prospect, and just send out a text blast conversation. I might still do it today, but what I want to demonstrate before that is a couple of things. I don't even have this one on my list. Whoops. I want to show the, hold on. There we go. Am I back? Yeah. Let me get this out of the way. Show the little tweak that I'm trying with my deal of the week email that's going out tomorrow morning. I've been dropping the ball. Like, I like it going out on Thursday, but Friday is better than no day. So, and I don't want to manually try and send it to a bunch. I want to use the schedule send. So the subject line this week, your Central PA off-market deals of the week, and then the date. I have 3 off-market deals that I'm teasing, which is not the wrinkle. That was, I did that 2 weeks ago. It got more response. I did a slight variation last week, which it wasn't off-market deals, but it was my own deals. I just listed, a coming soon, and an off-market that's not even quite coming soon yet. Like we're still, you know, at that point. This one is Erica, who replied to my cold outreach through Lead Deck on Monday's Closers Cafe. This one is Brian from yesterday, the 3-unit in Hanover. And this one is one I've been going back and forth on. I think I actually talked to her at the very beginning yesterday when I was like, before it was technically started. All of that is pretty, you know, whatever. The wrinkle that I'm trying is the PS. And I'm talking about not just off-market deals. I'm talking about buyers that I have in my hand and seeing if they have anything that would fit. So I laid out 4 scenarios. One is Joe, the 100 acres. He's looking for 100 acres in Central PA. One is Angela. She's looking for a 4-bedroom in Mechanicsburg area school district. I didn't include the price range on purpose because all conversion happens in conversation. So when I get somebody that says, hey, on number 2 in your PS, what price range are they looking? Right. And so I can then, you know, more conversations. I included looking for small to medium-sized apartment buildings anywhere in 717 because I have a whole bucket, like I have a whole handful of those buyers. And then any fixer upper in these 5 locations. Who do you know that may have a property in It's too much. Hold on. Who do you know that may have a property? How can I reword that? That may have a property that might fit any of the above. That could fit any of the above. May and might. I just don't like that. Whatever. I'm splitting hairs.
Right.
We'll see. Go ahead, Stuart.
Oh, put it back up.
Sorry. I wanted to reschedule it because the way Bold Trail works. Oh, it did let me update it. You have to schedule it 24 hours in advance. Like that's the in Bold Trail. And so I wanted to get that out. Who do you know that may have a property that could fit any of the above?
Right. Who do you know with a property that fits? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
That's great. Who do you know
With that fits, and cut all that out.
I've had a lot of luck with do you know anyone? Just another option for there.
I like who do you know, because who do you know gets their brain working. My experience is when you say do you know, many of them immediately say no in their own, like, subconsciously, and then move on. I personally have experienced that when you say who do you know, it gets them, it like plants a seed. It almost opens a loop in their brain where they may think of somebody tomorrow. Either way, I think is good. I just like.
You're asking an open-ended question versus a closed-end question, so it's very powerful doing it that way.
Yeah, I mean there is a time and a place for both. There's a time and a place for both. In this instance, I like the open-ended because it gets their gears turning. It's not an immediate, nope, I don't know anybody. I don't even know this guy. Why would I care? So I guess the bigger picture is it's not, no matter, here's the other thing. Even though I'm saying, who do you know? A lot of people will say, I'm not interested. I'm like, I didn't ask if you were. I'm asking, who do you know? Or do you know anyone? Terrell's version. And yet many people still read it as, you're asking me, do I have a property that's like this? No, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying, but whatever. Okay. Yesterday on the sprint, I ran into some gremlins in trying to find parcels for Joe, for my guy Joe, who wants 100 acres. And thankfully and quickly, Sean fixed that little problem. These bugs pop up when we make enhancements to the tool. So I'm going to pull it back up here. I'm going to look for Perry County, 100 plus acres. And I think I already did the out-of-state absentee. So I'm going to try involuntary lien. 1. But I mean, I'm already admittedly looking for a needle in a haystack. So, I mean, I'll take every one that I can get. And so it does work now, as I was hoping yesterday. And I need to go and find, yeah, here it is. I have on my little text pad, my scripts from yesterday that I had to bounce back and forth with. So I'm going to copy and paste those in, and I'm going to do a couple of quick outreaches to these, and then time permitting, I'm going to do more. But I wanted to close that loop from yesterday, and also, if I'm being honest, demonstrate the fact that we're committed to fixing things quickly and improving the tool quickly when we get suggestions, recommendations, etc. So I've got
at 11 o'clock yesterday.
What's that?
Was that the 11 o'clock yesterday?
Yeah. That's when I was doing the live prospecting, and I ended up pivoting to doing outreach for Angela, who was looking for the 4-bedroom, because I don't know, I was saving the lead targets, and they weren't showing up in a deck. They were just sort of disappearing. We weren't sure what were happening to them.
Is that for us, quote unquote, or is that
That's the open, that's the
Lead
open 11 a.m. So if you go to leaddeck.ai/Cal, CAL, Wednesdays at 11 is like the open mastermind. And they've just turned into 60 to 75 minute live prospecting with guests or just me. Just really just using the tool live and demonstrating that for everybody. So I've got 2 decks here. I'm going to start with the one that has 1 property. This is an in-state absentee, which is, I mean, all vacant land is absentee owned because they're not living on it. So it's a whether or not are they in-state or out of state. It's free and clear, high equity, and it's got an involuntary lien. I have no idea what the lien is. All 5 numbers are on the DNC. Boo-hoo. I'm going to tap to email, and that's his email. I mean, I'd be shocked if it's not. It's first name, and it's his, it's the nickname. So his name is Terrence. It's Terry.lastname@gmail. That is his email. Like, I'm certain of it. And yet, there are a couple of other options. So I'm going to do, actually, this is interesting. I don't know why it does this, but this one, and then this one. And the way Gmail works is it doesn't matter if there's a dot or not. So one of the emails said it was first name dot last name. One of them was just first name, last name, no dot or no period in the middle. So I'm not going to send it again because that means I'm going to show up twice in his inbox. And then it's going to be, kind of what's going on here. And we're going to get, I can't tap to send direct mail to him right this second, but we're like 3 feet from gold on that. We're just waiting on one thing where I'll be able to tap and it will automatically, with an API call, send that information, add him to a mailing list on thanks.io, and a direct mail campaign will fire off. And the first piece will go out the next morning. No, incoming phone call. I think it's spam or scam, but who knows? Hello, this is Josh. So annoying. I literally unsubscribe and block that same company probably 2 or 3 times a day. It's just that one company. I don't know why. Crestwood Advisors or some nonsense. Okay. 3 numbers, 2 are on the DNC. It's a Texas owner. I'm going to send the emails first, and then I'm going to try the one landline. It will likely be a bad number, if I'm being honest. Because usually, if they're down on the list, oh, no, it's ringing. Crestwood. Yes, Doreen, they call me all the time, too. What the heck? From all different numbers. Crestwood Loan Advisors or whatever. It drives me nuts. Somebody.
Feeling left out.
Well, you
I
should,
have
don't
blocked
feel.
them a million times. I don't know who they are.
All right. Well, that was definitely the wrong number. I got the voicemail and it was somebody saying some other name and some educational institution. But one of the emails seemed good. Oh, here we go. Now I've got 2 mobile numbers that are not on the DNC. Not a blue text, but whatever. I'll try it. I'm going to text both of them. And I'm going to call both of them. Vacant land. Oh, no number. Vacant land is also, I would say, somewhat like the example that I was sharing of Stuart on Monday, meaning you kind of got to dig a little bit because a lot of times the contact info isn't good because A, by default, they're all absentee owned. And B, in particular, I'm going through the absentee out of state. So they're, a lot of times it's, I don't know, even if it's not marked as inherited, sometimes it's inherited. Sometimes, it's been in the family forever. Point is, you might have to do more of the enhanced or rely on direct mail and rely on direct mail in instances like this. Though each of these, I would say I've hit, how many have I hit so far? I've hit 3 out of the 5 that I have pulled, and at least 2 of them is definitely the right email. 5 numbers, all on the DNC. Three emails. I'm just tapping my way through. Some of the emails are bouncing back. I don't care. What haven't bounced back are the 2 that I said I am certain are the right emails, because it was first name, last name at Gmail, I think in both cases. Maybe one of them was first initial, last name. And let's see here. I don't know if this is the right email or not. This is one where it's kind of limited data, and it's a California phone number, so I'm not going to call, but I'm going to try and enhance it. Got a weird error. I might have to hit up Sean on that one. API error. Well, I'll figure that out with him. Here's what I'm going to do.
For the emails that bounce back, would it be beneficial to go ahead and delete those from the deck in case we want to reach out to them again and not send to that same email, or what's best practice or something like that?
I literally never thought about it. I don't think it's worth the work, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
I suppose you could.
What?
I don't even know how you, I guess you, oh, I can hide it. So I could hide this.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I guess it doesn't take that much work, but usually it's pretty obvious which ones are good. I don't know. I could go either way on that.
Okay. And kind of likewise, the going back to the direct mail, you probably figured out over there, I'm kind of anal when it comes to some of this stuff. And I've noticed when I was sending out these 115 to the out-of-state guys recently the other night, a lot of the names I had to clean up, to get the first name right so it mail merge in there just right. So I'd be a little hesitant of just hitting the button to send it to thanks.io kind of thing.
Well, it's funny that you're mentioning it. That is what we're cleaning up, is making sure that all of the data is formatted so that when we send it, it's appropriately putting owner first name, owner last name, or owner first name 1, owner first name, so that you can have the confidence and know when I hit the button, it will populate it correctly and accurately, and not have to worry about it. And I appreciate that is your sort of operating. And what I would challenge you is to find the happy medium, because I would be willing to bet you're investing a lot of time that doesn't actually yield you any better results. In other words, you don't want to seem unprofessional or whatever, but they're also like, I just know that done is better than perfect, but finding the medium between, done poorly is also not ideal, right? So done well enough and not necessarily perfect. Obviously, if you send direct mail and it says, dear Ebal, because it merged in the last name instead of the first name, that's not good. But my point is there are some, maybe some opportunities to just get more done by not worrying so much about things that maybe don't have, or finding what are the things that I'm spending time on that don't actually get me any better results. They feel like they might, but they're not. And I don't know that I have a perfect answer for it. But just something to think through.
100% right, because it can be a little bit time consuming, but yeah, I don't want it to show up. And that's what I was thinking. Some have the last name, or it might be a middle initial thrown in there that will look weird, or there's a number of different scenarios that I've seen.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say, dear Josh,
Yeah. I'm just looking at some of these county counts. Probably gonna get final count on that one. Franklin County, 100 voluntary. Ooh, 8 involuntary. I like that. So right now I'm just saving seller targets so that I can then go and run them out of state. Whoa. Why would that be? I don't know that I'm ready for a bucket of 66 of them. There we go. Inherited. I'll take one of them. Actually, let me see the seller targets here. Okay, so I got 10. That's perfect. I'm probably going to do these 10 and then regroup and take care of some other things that I need to before my workshop at noon. While I'm running these, yesterday towards the end, I was talking about and struggling through recording a Loom video to Erica. And then I also, this guy that I'm, this card that I have in my hand, his name is Joe. He wants a 100-acre parcel in pretty much anywhere in the 717 area code. I sent him a video. I pulled the 15 expired and canceled listings over the last 1,000 days that fit the criteria. I sent him a Loom video telling him, I'm emailing you this list. Check it out. Let me know if there are any on there that might fit what you're looking for. And also, I will be working to find you other off-market. This doesn't always happen, but both of them watched that video within the hour. Loom told me, I got a notification, and both of them replied almost on the same timeline as well. And it's just reinforcement or positive reinforcement because both of the responses were positive and encouraging. And it just means that at some point, those two people are going to transact. Erica with the property to sell and Joe with what he's looking for. And when that happens, as long as I'm not, well, I mean, I guess the potential is somebody doing the same work I am or providing them the solution. But if I keep putting in the work and demonstrating to them, I'm likely to get it. The other thing with Erica is I realized this morning that her property, as I was taking a closer look at it to include in my deal of the week email, it is exactly what one of clients that I have, they've been in my bold trail for a long time. They are looking to downsize into a 2-bed, 2-bath condo, 1-story they gave me 3 neighborhoods, and this is in one of those 3 neighborhoods. I didn't even do that on purpose. I just made the connection as I was doing the work. So we'll see if they're actually interested, but I sent them, since I brought it up, I sent them this email, and I will call Carol today because I've had several phone conversations with her. I sent her right here. Hope the two of you are doing well. Not sure where you guys are at with everything, but we have an off-market 2-bed, 1-bath, or 2-bed, 2-bath, 1-car garage in Stonehenge that made me think of the two of you. So, I mean, we'll see. I will call her. But Erica said, I'm curious, I'm interested. I sent her that video. I have preliminary offers, etc. I need to close the loop with her because she did watch my video. She did look at my follow-up video or my follow-up email. And so I need to get back with her. In fact, since I'm bringing it up, I might as well. I'm just going to say, making sure you got my last. Morning, making sure you got my last email with the dashboard and breakdown of options. Thanks, Josh. And I need to do the same with Brian, who's the investor that I emailed. Here we go. Morning. Hope You and Tammy made it back safely. He and his wife were driving an RV up from somewhere warm. They left when it got really, really cold here. They went south with their RV and they were just getting back into town. Made it back safely. Just making sure you got my email with details on the bank-owned property. Also, I have several interested in the 3-unit you mentioned, or at least are very curious. What's the address on that one? Okay, boom. I know I'm bouncing around a little bit, but sometimes these time blocks, that's what it is, right? Because you're doing the work and then you think, oh, I need to close the loop on that, or I need to, confirm something with, this person, et cetera, et cetera. Stuart, go ahead. This is perfect because I need to edit my scripts because I'm now reaching out to Franklin County, not Perry County.
Okay, sorry for bogarting the time for everybody, but if nobody else
No,
has
absolutely.
questions, I will. All right, so you just mentioned about not being ready to take on a big debt. So the letters that I just sent out and reached out to, those were the out-of-state tax defaults. And, those were in the teens and 20s for some of these zip codes. But now I'm looking at my list of in-state and tax defaults, and I've got, 54, 115, 172, 44, 67, 14.
Okay, but here's you're illuminating a problem. You're illuminating a problem. Pick one zip code. I don't even know why you know those other numbers.
Oh, because they're all in the area.
I know, but why? So we get enamored. We get enamored with more. We get enamored with more, and I do too. But you don't need all those numbers. You don't need to know all of them. You started with a zip code. I would exhaust. You have a reason, I think, to have started with whatever zip code you started with. Don't even worry about the other stuff until you've exhausted that. Okay. Is at least that's the way I think about it. Or until you've exhausted that, or you have a reason to explore other options. In other words, you have someone that comes to you either from your time blocks of outbound or through deal of the week email or whatever, that you have a conversation and you identify, like, the reason I'm doing this work now is because Joe told me this is what I have. And also because I love land. I love working that. And I have other land buyers, et cetera. So it makes sense for me to do that work. If I wasn't certain that he could, would, and will make an offer on that property, or I didn't want more of that type of business, I wouldn't be doing that. Because there's more than enough out there. In other words, if I hadn't already had several conversations with this Joe guy and knew from those conversations, this is a real, legitimate, and serious person. And also, I didn't have the certainty that if I get someone else who raises their hand and it doesn't fit what Joe is looking for, I have certainty that I can make them a proposal that will get them to sign a contract and allow me to bring to get compensated. If that wasn't the case, I wouldn't be doing that deck. So, make sure that when you're pursuing something, I guess another way of looking at it is I have multiple ways that this can turn into something positive for me. Number one, I'm demonstrating and I'm documenting to Joe that I'm working on his behalf. Joe may refer me other people. Number two, when I get someone to raise my hand, I legitimately have Joe. So I can send this deal to Joe and see, is this what you're looking for? And if so, any idea where you'd be at number-wise that I can then bring back to that person and either say, this is where he's at, or unfortunately, though your parcel is 113 acres, this is a deal breaker for him, or it was, it's for whatever reason, he's not interested. However, we've had a lot of success helping other clients like yourself. Here is what I would propose to you if you're open to selling it. So if you're doing the work, I guess the lens that I look through goes back to what Tony was talking about, certainty. If I get someone that says yes or maybe, am I certain that I can provide a solution for them and also earn compensation from that? I think is my answer right now anyway. Susan, were you opening your line? Maybe not.
Didn't mean to.
Okay. All right. I'm going to follow up. Hold on. Let me see here. I was going to wrap with hitting up these 10 100-acre parcels. Well, that's not right. That's weird. It's supposed to be 100-acre parcels, and this one looks like it's small. Well, we might be back to the drawing board with that update. Here's one. Ooh, and look at this. I got 2 mobile numbers that are good. So tap. Oh, and it's a blue number or a blue text, so that's good. When we get a blue text, oh, I hit the share. Make sure you hit the share button that you're sharing your contact info. Both of them are blue. So pops up, share. Let's see here. Where's the name? Oh, there it is. Lauren and Melissa. So likely one of the numbers that I mentioned or message was not Lauren, even though it said Lauren for both. Doesn't matter. They're related. It's the right number. Lauren, hey, this is Josh Shanley with eXp Realty. This call is admittedly a bit out of the blue, but I'm calling because it looks like you own a fairly large parcel of vacant land in Franklin County. And I have a client who, at least from what I can tell about your parcel, would be interested. And we have just been struggling to find him what he's looking for on the market. So I was reaching out to see if there's any chance you would consider selling it to him. His name is Joe. He's in Cumberland County, but he's looking for something anywhere kind of in the 717 area. I texted you as well. If you could let me know either way, and I appreciate it. Have a great rest of the week. I got a text reply. Oh, she did text me back. Okay. She said nope. Hold on here. So got it. Period. Thank you. Period. If or when anything changes, or if you know of anyone else in the area who might consider an offer, please let us know. So I don't have to tap to email or tap to call the other number because I already got a no. But a no, I've also had evidence of a no might just be not right now, and then she ends up talking with Melissa, who's the other person that's showing up on the ownership information, and maybe that answer changes. Now this is interesting. The next one on here is a different first name but same last name. So this must be family, land that's in the family. All right, my phone is blowing up. And I have to regroup and reset for later. So I'm going to call it a day and call it a week. We will get the replay of this and the resources that I mentioned, etc. The easiest place to find it is leaddeck.ai/CAL. Leaddeck.ai/CAL for calendar. You can watch replays and register for the cafe, for the deal sprints, which are the Wednesday 11 a.m. sessions. Tomorrow, the time is wrong on here. I have to get with Sean on that. The time is noon Eastern tomorrow. I didn't notice that grammar or typo there. I'll be back next week. My kids have off on Monday. I don't know if I'll be here on Monday, if I'm being honest. I'll definitely be here Tuesday. I'll keep everybody posted as to whether or not I'll be able to go live on Monday. I think my kids have off. Is it something Monday? Is it President's Day or something? Yeah, Susan's nodding her head. We'll see. Stay tuned on that. I'll definitely be here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. I'll keep everybody posted on if anything changes on Monday. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Yo. What's going on? Just wrapped up the cafe for the week.
It's gotta feel good.
Yep. I'll text you this so I don't forget. The office hours and demos, it says 1 on the /Cal. I have that scheduled as noon.
I knew it. I couldn't see my calendar. I'll get that changed. I'm just shooting a video for batch. I can't find this one selection for multi 5+ that's returned results in Davidson County.
Okay.
But, so they're gonna have to help me out there. What do I call you? So we want to start with coming up with a daily LinkedIn post.
Yeah, I have one that went out today from the transcript of. I've been doing it sporadically, but having it systematic 7 days a week, no questions asked, makes a lot of sense.
So Decky or OpenAI's vector storage now has over 400 hours of training, and we can prompt it for like posts, and OpenAI, like, dude, we don't have a content problem. We have a repurposing distribution problem.
Yeah.
And then for the whatchamacallit, why did I just space out? Oh, what do we need the web application solution. It looks like I can do it on our site with like the ICS calendar thing. And do you have a Twilio account?
No.
So we could use Twilio for, text reminders. My only thing is, like, how do you just say it's on Luma. Like, do you have to go in after the Tuesday and change it to Thursday?
Yeah, that's the problem where I don't